How y'all doing? It's Judge Lynn. Come here to answer some more questions for you. Um, One of them was just to me, and it was a good question. It was from Bill William. Bill William, and he says, "I believe you said you became a judge after marriage. If so, is there any reason why you never changed your last name? Was it politics? Thanks. I enjoy your show. Your hats look sharp and your hair always looks great." Well, that's not true, but I appreciate the good lie. And I love women with short hair. Have a great day. It had nothing to do with politics. It had nothing to do with me being a judge. It had nothing to do with anything other than I never understood why I should have to. Now, no, most people don't agree with me, and I don't care because I don't tell other people what to do. But when I was a little girl in the 60s, this is before women's lib and all of that, I couldn't figure it out. And I remember asking my mother, yeah, but why does the woman have to change her name? I couldn't figure it out. And, uh, as I grew and got older, I figured it out, uh, mama's maybe, papa's maybe. So that has something to do with it. It has to do with the general legal status of women throughout history. It has to do with people just wanting to share the same name, and it has to do with a pattern of patriarchy. And I'm not saying that bad or good. I'm just saying that's what's happened. I know why it is, but I don't care. I like my name, Lynn Toller. It is on all my little degrees. And I like it. It's a good name. And I never understood why I had to change it. Just never understood. I also remember when I wanted to I was thinking about being a doctor. I went to college to be a doctor, fooling around. Got to college and played for 4 years, and I had to run and take the LSAT because Daddy was like, "Look, little girl, I know you can't get into med school with what you have done, but you better go to some kind of school, or I'm going to cut you off and you need to get a job." And I certainly wasn't ready to go to work. But, I got off track that quick and don't know what I was talking about. But anyway, I was talking about changing my name, and it's on all my degrees. And even if it wasn't, I just don't. I understand why it's a cultural thing that has occurred, but I don't care. You know, I just don't. And I like my name, and didn't need another one, and I don't have to have a reason. Which dovetail into another question um, about my parents. And it says something, can you talk about what your dad taught you about finances? You only say he taught you some things. I am sure we could learn from what your parents taught you about finance. Well, the number one, not number one, I don't know. I don't have this anytime because I grew up in a house that managed money in a certain way. You should always live beneath your means. Money is to work for you at the bank. It's not to be admired by your neighbors. So, you know, uh, and if you can look at around your house and see all your money, you're not doing it right. If it's got clothes and shoes and you don't have anything in the bank for a rainy day, the money in the bank will make you money. And then you get into investments and all that. Now, some people don't have enough money to save. But then you got to ask yourself, are you letting your money leak out? Now, my mother used to tell me all the time, don't let your money leak out. Money leaks out when you have subscriptions and you don't know. Money leaks out when you break a 20. Although this is not so much in the days anymore. But back then, Mom used to say, don't break a 20. Use your change first because you just, I don't know. But you always saved some of what you had, no matter how little you had. And they were big on, but don't let your money leak out. That's a big one. Losing stuff, stupid tax, rebuying things that you shouldn't have to rebuy because your emotionality made you do. Oh, nobody wants to see all that. That could, gee whiz. And your emotionality made you do A, B, and C, and avoiding the stupid tax. Um, my father also says once you put something in your investment account, pretend you don't have it. If it's there and you in the habit of go reaching for it, then it won't stay there very long. So you can't do that. You have to pretend like you don't have it. And I don't know. I'm naturally cheap, and I personally don't believe in designer stuff. Now, not saying I won't buy something for a designer, but I don't know why it is I have to be charged a couple extra $100 to wear somebody else's name on my chest. That's what I didn't understand. I mean, if he wanted to go buy a billboard, he can go buy a billboard. But the Gucci's did not need my money. Now, I'm not saying anything wrong. If you like that stuff and you got the money for it. And another thing my father said, just because you can manage to pay for something doesn't mean you can afford it. Just because you can manage to pay for that. I mean, what if you putting $300 on here, but no extra books or stuff in your mind? What you doing? Now, I'm not against. I have some designer things. You know what I mean? I remember when I was in the middle of divorce court, and making a lot of money. And I went to Nordstrom's to buy some shoes. I'm just naturally cheap. Here's the thing. This is not what my father told me about money, but this is what my mother told me about money. Everybody has an emotional relationship to money. I have an emotional relationship where I like to take my money, gather it around me, wrap it up in like bubble wrap, and just lay there waiting for the fight. You know what I mean? And whatever I have to use my money to keep things away from me, that's what I do. Now, my husband's relationship with money was, he got married really, really young and had to work hard and deal with people all the time. So he wanted to fund his money since we were having more money. So let's have fun. And every time he was funding the money, it was upsetting me because it was losing my security. And every time I was tucking it away, it was losing his fun again and we didn't understand that. And that started a lot of fights until we figured out that we have emotional relationship to money. But you got to figure out what your emotional relationship to money is, Do you use it to make you feel better about yourself? Do you use it to educate yourself? Do you not care about it at all? Do you always think there's going to be more tomorrow? I'm one of these people that thinks there's never going to be more tomorrow. Hence, the fact that I'm cheap. But you can I am going to take my hands out of my hair. Stop growling, you guys. But I do. Every once in a while I buy something designer. I remember one time, and I got something I can show you on this one. I was at Nordstrom's and I was on divorce course, so I was making decent money, And there were these shoes, and here they are. These are like, I don't know. I think these are about 10 years old. But they're Jimmy Choo shoes. So they cost a fortune. So I'm standing in the Nordstrom's, hyperventilating. It's a cute shoe. It's very sexy. I have small ankles, so it kind of laces up. And it's denim. And it was wide. And it was a size 4.5. Do you know how hard it is to find a 4.5? That's why I go to Nordstrom's mostly when I'm looking for shoes, because they got 4.5s. And I'm sitting there and I had plenty of money. Mortgage was paid, all of that. I had to call my sister in Dallas, Texas, and her nurse answered the phone. And I said, is, Dr. Toller available? And she said, well, she's in with a patient. I said, well, is it some kind of an emergency? Oh, yes, I did. And she says, no. I said, well, this is her sister. And she says, oh, okay, I'll get her for you. I get her. I said, hey, Kathy. Now, my sister has always enjoyed all her money. She ain't got, she saves too because she learned that from her father. But she lets a lot of her money leak out because she's disorganized. But anyway, I said, Kathy, there is these pair of Jimmy Choo shoes, and they cost, and I don't know how much they cost, but hundreds of dollars. And I said, I don't know. I mean, for some shoes. And she said, B, if you don't buy those shoes, good Lord. Hung up the phone. I had to have emotional support to buy Jimmy Choo shoes. So, figure out what your emotional relationship is to money. And then understand what you need to curb about your inclinations or tendencies or whatever. But don't let it leak out. Subscriptions and just small, impulse buys. Don't be, keep your eyes straight forward in the line when you're going out for, no impulse buys. And they put stuff on the shelves and wait to make you impulse buy, But I don't consider myself an expert on money. I consider myself a person who was raised by people who understood it and respected it and tried to get me not to do anything too stupid with it. Like when my dad said, look, I can give you a wedding or a down payment on a house. I took the down payment. There was no question. A wedding where he would hand me off to a new dude so I could take his name. When none of that happened. That's just how I am. I was mad when my mother told me I had to wear a bra. But I don't want to get into that. There's this young lady who wrote me something. She said, this is another young lady. She says, I like thugs. And I'm dealing with this dude who is not a thug. And it's weirding me out. I really like him. He wants to get married. And he talks about eventually he wants me to meet his kids and my family. He wants a serious relationship. Meanwhile, I don't even know if I'm the marrying type. Well, now, first of all, the marrying type. What does that mean? I know I've told you this before, but when my husband and I got married, we both took a test that was supposed to determine how compatible we are with the state of marriage. Not we're compatible with each other, but to the state of marriage. My husband got a 10, you're very compatible with it. My husband got a 4, and I got a 1.7. Which basically mean me and the dogs, this is it. This is as good as it's going to get. But we got married anyway, and it was successful. My problem is, and it implicates another question somebody else asked me, which was a woman who said, can you please make sense of the times that we're in, all of these men and women going back and forth on the internet and popping balloons and talking about this is the only way that you can live? Your marriage is your marriage. And it's not supposed to look like my marriage, my parents' marriage, my husband's parents' marriage. It's just not supposed to. There are certain basic rules that really nobody wants to see all that. There are certain basic rules that you have to abide by. You have to have a married state of mind. But you can make a decision about who you are and what you want to be. Don't ask yourself, am I the marrying type? Ask yourself, what is it you want? And what kind of marriage do you want? And then sit down with dude and talk about what he wants and what kind of marriage he wants. And it's not, I've become so independent just from being a single parent, and I like my independence. You don't necessarily lose your independence when you get married. I didn't. I went up the street and bought a house once. Didn't tell her till I bought it. Because it was a cute little house and I didn't want his input. It was just up the street. He didn't say anything. He didn't. Now my son lives in it. Can't get him out. I think I'm scared of putting myself out there because what if it doesn't work out? Well, there you go. It's what my therapist always asks me. So what if it doesn't work out? What does that mean? You're not a failure. To have made an effort to build a life with somebody that the two of you enjoy and feel better about. I don't understand the loss of independence part. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You're in no worse of a position than you are now, unless you all got together and did a lot of dumb stuff. But I also like, we women, we just kind of go with the flow a little bit. And I know I got a lot of nerve telling people to go with the flow, because I am wound tighter than anybody I've ever met. No, not anybody I've ever met, but I'm wound pretty tight. But I think I'm scared of putting myself out there. What if it doesn't work? And it doesn't. Well, so what if it doesn't work? It's an opportunity of new and better. Take your steps, suss it out, see what's going on. Don't try to, play the tape all the way to the end at the very beginning. And it's interesting that when we talk about relationships these days, we talk about there is a right way to do it. And I think a lot of that is driven, and that was that other person's question. Everybody's hard-hearted, all of these the bonds and seeds of discord between men and women. Do people really think this is the way things ought to work? No, but it's the way they get paid. You beefing with people. People show up for the beef. People show up for the verses. People show up for the, and the more outrageous and authoritative you are, and the more outrageous and authoritative the person on the other side is, the more press you get, and the more likes and the more views and the more, this and that and the other thing. There is no one way to do things. I think that's the thing I want to. Everybody wants to say they're an individual. And then they want to box up all of our institutions and everything and all these rules about women should this and men should that and the other thing and all that kind of stuff. Oh my God. That really? Think. Somebody stole my Facebook page with the check mark on it. I want to tell you that. You need to know that, because I think they're sending messages to people. I had somebody steal my Facebook page. It has a blue check mark, and it's not me. I'm not on Facebook anymore, and I don't think I'm going to be on IG anymore either. I'm just here, and who knows how long that's going to last? Because I have been sluggish in my life of late. But there it is. That's what I said. It's just, what is with you in this view? Peculiar, appropriately managed, can lead to exceptional. So don't let anybody rain on your odd and tell you how you should this and how you should that and how you should the other thing, including me. Like, don't take advice on money from somebody who won't tell you what their emotional relationship to money is. You got to source all your information. You ain't got to believe me about anything, because I'm personally about process and procedure. And part of the reason I'm doing this at all is my therapist told me I had to. You got to do things. Not that I don't enjoy this company, because I do. But I have to make it a habit, because if I don't, I will become sluggish again. And that's the last thing we want. Me. Sluggish. Y'all have a good day.